Ken Morrow is the scoring star, defenseman, of course, and while we're speaking of defense, here is the first star of this game, the guy that thwarted the Rangers time and again and almost had it won because of his heroics in regulation time, but had to make some stops in overtime as well. Billy Smith, you've won 4 Stanley Cups, but I cannot imagine any of those moments being as dramatic as this one. Now, you correct me if I'm wrong.
No, this is great. The fans make this a grudge match between us and the Rangers, and if we hadn't won, we wouldn't have been able to live on the island for the summer.
Bill, at 7-2, Game 3, and I mean, everybody thinks, boy, this might be it. The dynasty might be over. You left that game and came back and played 2 of the most magnificent games of goal I've ever seen you play. Was there any doubt in your mind that you could do that?
Not really. You have your bad games every now and then, but that's what's scary about the best of 5, because if you do have a bad game, it could cost you the whole series, and that's the only thing that really bothered me. It was a big game, and I came out a little flat, and it cost us a hockey game, but I knew I could come back because I've done it before, so I just put my head down and worked as hard as I could.
This is an old standard question that generally is meaningless, but I think it must be asked here. What happened in the dressing room prior to the overtime? What was said, if anything?
Well, we've been through it a lot before, and a lot of guys just say, come on, boys, this is our bread and butter. We played well in overtime, and if we don't, boys, there's no skating tomorrow. And nobody wanted to quit yet.
Now, you didn't have the best angle, I'm sure, of the tying goal. Would you offer an opinion now that it really doesn't matter whether it was in or not?
I really don't know. I couldn't really see it. All I saw was Kenny Morrow coming in, and it was like everybody was all bunched up in front, like right here, so I couldn't see it.
Well, I was talking about the tying goal by Don Maloney, but we do want to look at the winning goal.
Oh, well, this is the winning goal. Like, it was just a big scramble in front. Hanlon didn't stand a chance for it. It was a good goal.
What about the Maloney goal? Do you think his stick was high, or do you care?
I really don't care. It's tough to say because I was down on my knees. I give the rebound. It was high, but I don't know at which point he hit it, so I can't fault the referee or, say really anything because I didn't really see how it went in.
In terms of emotion, you obviously have some left. The Washington Capitals hope you don't have too much left, and physical energy as well. Look ahead for us. What does this series mean to the next one and your chances of winning 5 straight cups?
Well, anything can happen. We all know that. We know we're playing an outstanding Washington Capital hockey team. They have played super against us all year. We've won a couple of big games when we've had to against them, so that gives us a little momentum against them. But we do know they're a fine hockey team, fine defensive team, so we're going to have our work cut out.
42 stops by this man tonight, and they couldn't have won it without Ken Morrow's goal, but they couldn't have won it without all 42 saves by Billy Smith. The final score in overtime, the New York Islanders defeat the New York Rangers 3-2, and a 5th straight cup is still possible. The Islanders move on. The Rangers should be very proud in defeat. They put up a terrific struggle in a 5-game series, taking it to overtime. Now, if this was regulation time, Ken Morrow would not be the man you'd pick to score the goal, but in the minute it went into overtime, this is a guy that scores overtime goals, and I don't even have to look up how many because you're going to tell me this was your 3rd. Tell me about the other 2 quickly.
One against L.A. my first year in the playoffs, and one against Edmonton the year after that.
And how about this one? Just fire the puck? Is that what you did?
Sure, all 3 of them. My first one, I think it was going 10 foot wide and it bounced off somebody's skate. So all I try and do is just get it toward the net.
Okay, let's have a look at it. I think you'd probably like to see it, and we'll have another look.
Yeah, the puck came bouncing off the boards, and I just wanted to get it.
Hit a stick there, do you think, a Ranger stick?
I really don't know. I know it looks like Flats had him screened out pretty good, and I think that was the key to the play.
You seem pretty happy, and I don't know that there's any reason that you shouldn't be. How do you feel now that a peak of emotion had to be reached here, and you got to turn around 2 nights later and play again?
Well, we do. I think we'll have a good day off tomorrow, and then we'll be able to concentrate on Washington. But we're very happy to come out on the winning end, especially the way we played in the first period. I thought we played some of our worst hockey ever, and we were very lucky to come out with a tie in that period.
The team seemed to have more trouble than I've seen as the Islanders as a championship team generating offense. This was a really kind of a hold on and be bailed out by Billy and clear the puck when you had to and just get the goals wherever they came. Now, that can change, obviously, in the next series, but did you get that feeling, especially in these last two games?
Oh, I did. We were scratching for everything we could get out there, and as you said, Billy came up with some big saves. And, when it's only going 5 games, you really have to concentrate and try and play good defensive hockey. And now that we're going to go into a best-of-7 series, we'll have time to work on things, try and get our power play going and other ways to generate some offense.
Did the experience have anything to do with this win, or is this just one team's going to win and one team's going to lose and none of that matters?
Well, I would have said experience before the game would probably be a factor, but I think when it gets down into overtime, it's just a lucky bounce of the puck.
Well, it's got to mean something eventually if the Islanders are to win again, and they do have that chance, thanks to Ken Morrow's goal. Out of town, the Minnesota North Stars are moving on, as well as the Islanders. The North Stars in the Norris Division have defeated Chicago 4-1. They'll open the Norris Division final against St. Louis on Thursday night, and Dennis Baruch had 2 goals. He opened and closed the scoring. Ferguson and Cicerelli in between Bob Murray for Chicago. So the Blackhawks go from 1st to 4th in the Norris Division and are ousted in the first round. Here's what's going to happen in the division finals right here at the Nassau Coliseum. Washington opens against the Islanders Thursday night. In the Adams Division, Montreal is at Quebec. The Norris Division final now looks like this. St. Louis at Minnesota. And in the Smythe Division, 2 Alberta teams, Calgary at Edmonton. The plans for Hockey Night in Canada are these. Montreal is at Quebec, and we will show the Adams Division final between the Canadiens and the Nordiques. And also Calgary is at Edmonton. The Smythe Division final will be on Hockey Night in Canada. We ask you to check your local listings for Thursday night, and we ask you to remember how good a game this was. I don't think you're going to have any trouble doing that. We bid you good night from Long Island.